All right, today we're going to talk about building a Faraday cage and shielding single coil pickups. We're going to start with the pick guard and work our way through to the body of the guitar. And since the input jack is not metal like a normal one, we're going to have to do that too. This is definitely one of my favorite things to do on these guitar builds, so let's get started. All right, so what you're going to need to do is get the pick guard nice and clean on the back side there, and get you some copper foil tape from Amazon with a conductive glue on it, and basically just cover the back of it, because you'll see on some guitars where they have humbuckers that they only do the electronics part, which is fine, but these are single coil pickups. And so you really need to build a cage around the pickups too. And basically, I start in the center because that's where most of the carbon fiber material is, and I work my way to the edges. That way, you know, you can use less pieces and sort of do that. Now, when you peel this stuff off, it's a little tricky, especially the longer pieces, so you want to try to grab the end of it so it don't roll up like it just did there. Just be careful with it. It's pretty sticky stuff, so you don't really have to worry about handling it or anything. It'll stick and stick well. So then you just lay it all out. You can try to match the pieces as close as possible. I just overlap them a hair and just make sure that I, press it down really good. And then I take a razor blade or a razor knife and trim the edges off. And then after I'm done with that, I will kind of scrape the edge so that there's nothing showing on the outside. And you can see here it's just a matter of placing the tape on there, and you want to really work pressing it down. Like do it a few times, And also, you can use multiple smaller pieces. This adhesive is very conductive, so you'll still get the shield, which is great. And just try to make it as less wrinkly as you possibly can, and that's pretty much it, really. And then so here is the pick guard, and I'm using a little disposable razor knife. I think I got it like a Harbor Freight or something. But the blades break off. So you can just keep the blade constantly sharp while you're doing this, because it is foil, so it will dull the blade really fast. Here's where you can see how the foil wants to kind of fold over the edge. And I just basically trim it off. You can kind of scrape it and, just try to get it as neat and clean as I possibly can, because I don't like seeing any little foil or anything on the outside edge as much as possible. So I also just take a screw, like a pickup screw, and poke the screw holes in it, and then a Phillips screwdriver and kind of open the hole a little bit more on the back side. And then for the pickup holes, I just cut it out with the razor knife and try to clean the edges out as much as possible. It's pretty simple. It's pretty straightforward. It just got to be patient with it, especially if you have only done it a few times. It does take a little bit of getting used to get it nice and flat and straight and all that. But if you just take your time with it and go slow, you will definitely get it. And now for the volume, tone, and tone holes, I just use that little knife to cut it out. It's a little handy little knife, to be honest with you. It's pretty cool. And then basically same thing, just get the edges out nice and clean. And that's basically it. So now you have a conductive back pick guard. Now you can ohm it out with your meter. So we're going to get started on the body of the guitar now. And you just want to make sure everything's nice and clean, and so that stuff will stick to it really good. And you just want to use small pieces, like smaller pieces that are manageable. What I try to do is I try to do the bottom of it first, and I work my way from the center to the edges. That way, if the piece is a little bit bigger, it will climb up the edge of the wood rather than wrinkle out as much. So then I just put this little piece here that's covering that little area between where the pickups go. And that's the bottom of it right there. Now we're going to work on the edges pretty soon. But first, I want to do the input jack hole. And so one thing to do with that is just, you can just like take your finger and crease it around the edge. And that will leave you with a little line that you can use to cut it out of. So that way you've got a little bit of a reference on what size you need. You can make it a little bit bigger, a little bit smaller, whatever you feel comfortable with using it. And there is the input jack cover with the sides and the bottom done. And you can see the sides overlap the bottom a little bit too. And so we're just going to do the same process. It's a little tougher on the edges, but just do it in manageable pieces is the best I can tell you. And then another way you can do this is to make it a little bit bigger on the edges and then just trim it down with a little knife or something. But if you do it this way, you have to be very, very careful that you don't, scratch your finish or mar anything up, right? So probably the latter with, pressing down on that top edge to give you a nice little line to cut would be a great way to start. And then as you get better at it, you could probably try trimming it out this way. And yeah, so we have to go all the way around the whole guitar this way and just make sure that we have really good connections. If you have pieces that, you got a little bit of piece showing here or there, you can always take a little piece and stick it on there and it will be fine. Because of the adhesive material being conductive, you don't have to worry about it. Some of the older stuff, it wasn't conductive, and so you'd have to solder the piece to make sure that it connected. But this stuff works really well for that. So we're just going around the whole guitar now. Now this is, the body's finished. You can see all the edges are as clean and straight as I could possibly get them. Everything's stuck really well. You can see here, it's just a really nice looking cage, I think, at this point. I also like to put little tabs that hang over the edge a little, just to make sure when the pick guard is screwed down that you have a really nice connection. Now for the input jack, if you have a metal input jack, you don't have to do this because it's fine. But this is carbon fiber, so you really need some protection on there. And so we're just basically going to do the same process and cover the back of this input jack with the foil tape. I really like this carbon fiber. I love the way it looks. So we're just going to try it on this guitar build and see what we do. We might use some more of it in the future. Anyway, yeah, so basically just cover the input jack and cut it all out and do the same process and just try to get it as neat and clean as possible. Cleaning up all the edges like we do, and there it is. That's finished. So now we have a nice input jack cover that's shielded too on top of it. And here is the pick guard that's finished, and that's shielded just fine. And then the body of the guitar with a few tabs on there just to make sure that we're going to get a nice Faraday cage when everything's put together. So it's not going to stop all the noise, but it definitely does help with things. So yeah, basically that's it. When you first start doing this, it's a challenge to get the stuff looking nice and neat and clean. But after you do it a few times, you'll start to really take pride in your work and enjoy this process. So If you found any benefit in this video, please give it a like, share it with your friends, or if you're not subscribed, we'd love to have you here. So hit that subscribe button, and we will talk to you on the next one. Thank you very much.